We're just here for a chat, for a conversation, a bit of sharing, read some poems, talk about life a little bit, um, talk about what I'm doing. What's up, Holly? Troy, shout out to you lot. Um, and yeah, and also, I mean, the main reason why we're here, obviously, is because this is part of Own It's um, online digital literary festival. So it's been happening all week. So many writers, so many artists talking about everything that we've been talking about. And for those of us was um, who have been logged in or who was with the Zoom chat earlier today, that was really cool. Hope you guys really got to enjoy that. And then so I thought I'd get a chance. I thought I'd try and do like a little InstaLive, um, maybe talking a bit about poems and stuff, and just a little bit about what's going on. For me, it's kind of like, I don't know about you lot, but it's been a bit of a mad week. Also, if anyone wants to chat, or if you lot got some questions, especially if you got some questions, drop them in the comment section. I'll try to answer them. Or if anyone wants to do a request or whatever, and we do a bit of a live talk, that would also be cool. Just want to chat a little bit about stuff that I'm doing, about what in the world has been going on, because I don't know about you lot, but for me, this week has been absolutely insane. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's good to. I try as much as possible to not dwell on what's going on in the world. Do you know what I mean? I think we've all got different ways of looking at things, and I think that when you get too sucked in with everything, and I'm not saying don't be aware of what's going on, I'm saying when you allow it to consume you, it could almost, it can almost become overwhelming, and I have definitely felt that. But somehow you have to try and find the balance, and that's what I always try and do. Like, there's a real kind of like tenderness between being able to find the balance, and being able to, live, like the balance between being able to be aware of what's going on in the world, but also just to live your own life and be grateful for whatever's going on in your life. And this is one of the things that I'm, really trying to figure out, because on the outside, like, let's face it, excuse my French, but the world is kind of fucked, like, do you know what I mean? It's been like that for a long time, but obviously the intensity of everything that's going on, COVID, Black Lives Matter, just literally like everything, the day-to-day reality, the economics of the situation that we're all living through, means that it's super intense right now. But in our own lives as well, it's like, how do we manage that? And the way that I see it is kind of like, I hear this talk a lot about, oh, the world is ending, and for me it's kind of like, well, a lot of the stuff that we see going on in the world has been happening. Like, that feeling of impending doom has been something that a lot of people have experienced for a long time. So this world is ending type feeling, like, how do we navigate that? And how do we live a life that's still hopeful of tomorrow? And I look at that, I look at everything that's going on. Like, this is coming from me in the sense of, like, my parents were refugees. Like, my parents, I was a refugee with them. We fled Congo, war-torn country, with nothing, came here with nothing. And with the little that we got, we've been able to work and just try and like establish a bit of a secure life for ourselves, in a way more relative than what we had before. But like, when I speak to my parents and my family, like, there's always that element of optimism and of hope. And it's like, well, the work really relies on us to remind ourselves of what is possible and the things that we do have. So as much as I think it's important to give ourselves to have political opinions and all of that. I think there are a lot of people who are definitely speaking about that, especially if you look at what's going on today and their remembrance of the Grenfell fire tragedy. You know, you have artists like Loki or Carla, etc., Sharifa, Energy, shout out to you, who are doing amazing work, highlighting the causes of what's going on in our society. And my thing has always kind of been like, where's the place for empathy and for healing, you know? And how do we survive this world? You know, I work in a mental health capacity, and what's been happening a lot lately is like you're seeing a lot of people who are having breakdowns because of the toll of having to survive on a day-to-day basis, of the mental exhaustion that we face ourselves with. And then now it's like we're, you know, cocooned in our homes, which should be a safe place, but it isn't a safe place for many people. For some people it is, but it's like, how do we even navigate that? How do we navigate living in a world that's so counterintuitive to our existence, to our spirit? And one of the things that I do is like, I write poetry. I've always written. Like I didn't know that I was writing, and when I was writing, I didn't know that that's what I was using as a tool to try and help me to heal and understand what's going on in my own life and what's going on in the world. But increasingly, like, the more I started to do that, the more I realized like it was like this burden lifted. And so I try to pass that on. I try to tell stories, not as a way for me necessarily to pass on the message, or to make people see things that they might not see or be aware of, but more so as a way for us to find healing in ourselves. How do we survive the face of like the brutal reality of existence? I mean, we're only here for a short time, right? And I always say, like, as morbid and nihilistic this may sound, I think about death a lot, right? And not in a negative way, not in a way that's like, you know, not in a way that's drastic or overwhelming, but in a way that if I reflect on death, I'm reflecting also on my own existence. But then I'm also reflecting on the fact that I am alive in this moment. And what does it mean to be alive, right? And what does it mean with the knowledge that to act with the knowledge that you may not be here in future? So what does that mean that in terms of like the relationships that you have with others, you know? And even my own awareness of that still makes it really difficult, like, because there's things that you want to do, there's people that you want to speak to, there's still people that I want to speak to every day, like, and I've not been able to reach them in a way that I felt like I could have before. Like, I'll give an example, you know, we had Ty the rapper, who passed away last month as a result of COVID-19, and like that was heartbreaking for me, because Ty was always, I remember the last time I saw him, and I was like, oh, you know, we bumped into each other in Brixton, we was talking, and then I was like, oh, we both said, yeah, we need to sit down, it's been a while, whatever. And I was like, yeah, cool, great, we'll do that. And then we didn't get a chance to do that. And now it's like, okay, that with in reality of like everything that's going on, how do we still manage to cultivate those kind of like friendships and those bonds and relationships that make our existence feel authentic and meaningful? Because I find that now, more than ever, we're realizing the true importance of what it means to be alive, what it means to be a human being existing in a body, right? In a body that we didn't choose, in a life that we had no idea what it was going to be like, right? Especially, you know, think back to however many years it was when you were a child or a teenager, and what wild and unrealistic dreams that you had. Even if you accomplished them, like, there's still some things that we thought that was absolutely ridiculous. Like, I wanted to be a professional basketball player playing in the NBA. I had no idea that I would do anything to do with writing, right? And it's like, even that wilder dream, you have no idea what life is gonna throw at you. So how do you survive all of this? How do you prepare yourself, and how do you have empathy and also how do you have hope? Because without it, like, I don't know what's more important in life than having hope. You know, like, and I don't mean this in an abstract way. I don't mean this in a way that's like fluffy. I think hope is probably the most radical part of our imagination that we can have as people. Right? Most of us are thinking about waking up tomorrow and what we're gonna do. That's hopeful. That's radically hopeful. That's the kind of radical hope that is normalized, but really it shouldn't be. You know, like it's an incredible gift to wake up tomorrow. And so, what does it mean to work on that muscle of radical hope and to use that as a form of resistance, if you will, or a form of empowerment, that we believe in ourselves tomorrow, that we're going to wake up and we're going to be able to do what we can. Alright, so I'm going to read this poem. I wrote this poem. This poem is posted on my page. I wrote this during lockdown. Actually, I wrote this during lockdown, and I'm gonna read it and go between some questions. Let me check out some questions. What's going on? What's going on, you lot? Nathan, shout out to you. Sorry if I know you and I haven't shouted you out. I apologize because it's not personal. I just read a book called How to Die. It helps us to live better. Okay, How to Die. I need to check that out. That sounds like a great book. Aurora asks, another book soon. Well, we might talk about that. Hope is an act of love. Absolutely, 100%. Wrapped in culture. Happy birthday. No place to call home. Where is it? Yeah, happy birthday. I've got it somewhere. I don't know. Like, has anyone else actually got a clean place? Listen, I'm gonna be very honest with you, right? I'm just showing you the specific angle of what I want you to see, right? Just to make it respectable enough. If I tilt this left or right, it's a madness. So just stick with me right here. I'm not even gonna get up to get anything. But yeah, No Place to Call Home is 3 years old. Alright, let me read this poem, and then if you lot got questions or whatever, we can talk a little bit about it. So yeah, I wrote this poem during lockdown, and it's called And There Will Be. And there will be laughter and joy, and the two-cheek kiss, the hug, the spud, the dap, the open palm grab, pulling close, one pat on the back to greet your friends. There will be cousins, nephews, nieces, family around for a sleepover. You'll reminisce about when you used to share the same room, the same bed, the same heart, and wonder when and why you got too old for it all. And you will talk, or how you will talk, your mouth a skipping record of, do you remember when, like, do you remember when auntie threw the slipper at your head, screaming, yo, Zoba, viens ici, when you tried sneaking out, and you will remember her voice, and you will remember her, and him, and them, all of them, then fall to silence where the deepest remembering happens. Nothing will feel too close. You will want to pull every living moment into your skin, inhaling every memory just as quickly as you formed it. Every moment will be a celebration. New job, new house, child, marriage, got a haircut, went to the shops, made it home. Why are you crying? I'm just happy to fucking be here, and there will be love. There was always love, but you did not see it. Now you will see it for what it is, an unending light, the quiet of sound, warmth, closeness, being held, the swell of your heart beating next to theirs. How suddenly we all look the same and feel the same too. The stitching of all our sorrows to embroider perfect joy, a path to all the tomorrows we are walking to. Yeah, so that poem for me is all about hope. In fact, I think for me all of the poems and any kind of writing that I do is about hope, because we don't know we don't know when our time is up, we don't know when we're called, whatever you believe in, all of that is you know, kind of reflective of the one universal truth is how uncertain our lives are. And so if whilst we are here, we can make something of it, we can, you know, hold our loved ones close, and we can create art and poetry and all of these things that we do, then that just makes our lives so much more worthwhile. And it's funny because, like, I've been, you know, like, those of you who know me know I'm a little bit an introvert, quite reserved, slightly awkward, sometimes out there, so maybe more ambivert, but it just depends. But what I've been hearing during lockdown as well is when people say, oh, next time I go out, I'm gonna do this, you know, or next time I fall in love, I'm gonna, you know, next time when we're out of lockdown, I'm going straight into marriage, or, you know, the next relationship's gonna be the one, or this and that and the third. And it's like, but this is how we should be seeing life anyway, you know. So hopefully we come out of all of these situations with a renewed vigor and a new sense of hope. And I know that it can absolutely seem like ridiculous, you know, to even believe in something now, right? But I'm just like, I always say to people, it's like, we, in spite of everything that's going on, we live in better times than ever before, right? Like, my own father lived under colonialism. We read about colonialism in textbooks as if it's something far away. My dad was born in a colonized country. My grandfather was my age, right? I won't say exactly how old I am, but I'm a grown man. My grandfather was my age when Congo was no longer colonized, right? So it's not something that is far away that happened over there. And just for, I guess, perspective, I want people to understand that during colonization, especially colonization in Congo, over 10 million people were killed, right? So for my grandfather and my dad to be able to live and have hope and to be able to, you know, inspire a family of children who can create art and share with the world, like, we're living in better times than we could ever imagine. So it's like, how do we shift our consciousness from something that moves away from the pessimism, moves away from the cynicism, to something that's more radical and hopeful? And I think art is the way to do it. I think art has always been the way to do it. And I think if you look at what's going on now, like, art is a manifesto. You know, art is radical, and hope is radical as well. So hopefully we can continue to do that. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to drop some questions or whatever. I'm gonna get some poems and just read some more poems. I'm just gonna read some poems. I'm in the mood for poems. So yeah, I love stories, but I also love poems. I think poems are stories and stories are poems. So just excuse me 1 second while I go to the dirty part of my room and I'll grab a book and I'll come back. Let me light this thing up. You don't like the decor, yeah? Same, bro. My mum grew up in apartheid Zimbabwe. Right, apartheid Zimbabwe. I think Zimbabwe, correct me if I'm wrong, was apartheid ended in 1918 Zimbabwe? I may be wrong. But right, that's not that long ago. You know what I'm saying? That's our parents' generation. And so when we talk about our generation, we say the world is shit and all of this and it's the end and whatever. I'm like, guys, let's put things in perspective. You know, so we're really at a unique junction in history. Let me ask some questions. As a writer and poet, how do you push yourself to write even when you do not want to or do not think it's that good? So one thing is, there's no such thing as bad writing. You have to think about it, like, release yourself from the judgment of what is good or bad writing. I always say, like, all writing is bad writing. There's only good editing. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's no way you're going to write your poem the first time. like the poem that's the final poem the first time, the poem that's the final novel the first time. I mean, unless you're an absolute genius, which some of you might be. But I know that for me, the first draft of anything that I've written is 9 times out of 10 been absolutely shit. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's been bad writing. First draft of the majority of things I've written have been bad writing. The idea might be good, the conceptualization might be good, but what happens is you put it onto paper, you know, and then you edit and you edit and you edit and you try and figure out actually what you're trying to say. So don't worry about whether or not your writing is good writing. Just write, and then when you finish getting it all out, you edit, you work. It's like if you're, you know, if you're working, if you're crafting something, that block of rock isn't the final product, is it? You have to chisel away at it until it takes form, and that's essentially what it is. Do you get involved with writing workshops? Yes, I do writing workshops, but I guess obviously the current climate means that it's a little bit different, but I've been doing some one-to-one stuff. But yeah, if you've got any questions about that, just drop me an email through my website, jjbola.com. That plant is beautiful. Let me introduce you lot to my plant. Not gonna lie yet. Okay, so this is my plant. This is Kimia. It means peace because it's a peace-living plant. Yeah, and I've been trying to take good care of it, but I've had it for about a year. I think over a year, or just under a year. But yeah, it's my favorite. I hope to have it for a lifetime. And I feel like, are we not all just buying plants now? Like, do you know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but also, it's really interesting, right? Because it's almost like psychologically we're trying to, everyone's buying plants, right? As a psychological, perhaps, coping mechanism to root ourselves back in nature. I don't know if anyone's written about this or contemplated this or whatever, but I think instinctively that's something that's been happening. You know, we're trying to root ourselves in nature once again because everything that we're doing is disconnected, and so we're almost like rushing to find ourselves, and we're going back to the things that we know provide us sustenance and healing as well. My dad grew up in Ballymurphy, Belfast. Mother Teresa loved there for a bit to help the poor children. My dad and family saw so much troubles, but always danced and sing and taught us to live life fully. And that's the way. I absolutely think that's the way. Only good editing. What helps you during lockdown to stay focused and your mind healthy? One thing I've been doing that's really helped is, well, I started doing this before lockdown, but I really doubled down on how much I do it. Is every morning, pretty much every morning, I have a little stretch routine that I put together. Some of you, if you look on my page, yeah, there's that picture where my leg is like in the air doing a bit of a madness. I was supposed to release a stretch video, but I'm not even gonna lie, I'm a writer, innit? Like, I got kind of nervous about doing that video. Like, you lot were asking for it, I got kind of nervous, but I might, maybe one of the lives coming up, I'll do that video. But what I do is for about 10 minutes every morning, I stretch, and I go through that motion and just do like some really deep breathing. And then I also have about 10, maybe 15 minutes of meditation. Now, meditation can seem something that's very abstract and quite overwhelming. I think it is for most people. It definitely is for me. At least that's how I perceived it initially before I started doing it regularly. But what I would say is just to put on some music. Put the same song on repeat, a song that's really calming for you and helps to lower your any anxieties or lower your kind of like heart rate. And just sit in a comfortable position. You don't have to do the whole Zen thing. Just sit in a comfortable position. You can just sit on a chair and just close your eyes and breathe and breathe and breathe. And don't focus on blocking out your thoughts, or don't focus on not thinking. Just breathe. If a thought comes into your head, let it come and then let it go. And I think the thing to remember is that you are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. Your feelings are visitors. They're passing through you. You are the constant, you know. And once you remember that, like you'll be able to bounce back a lot better. And I think that's one thing that's really helped me out, because I've had you know, I've had down days as well. Like, we all have down days. And realistically, like the other day I was saying I was supposed to do the boring questions. I love boring questions. It literally makes my week. And then ask the questions on Thursday. I usually answer them on Friday. But Friday and Saturday came, and you know, I was feeling down. Like, but it's like the bounce back. You know, it's not that feeling down is bad. It's like, how do you bounce back? And I think when you have that, well, it's essentially some ritual. And the word ritual itself can seem something that's quite like frightening, but essentially it's just repetition. It's doing the same thing again and again that centers you. And so you do a stretch, you breathe, etc., and it centers you. And that's how I think that's the one thing that's allowed me to stay focused and keep a healthy mind. My plants are blooming. Shout out to everyone with plants. I knew you were going to mention the stretch routine. Release the video. Yo, okay, I might have to give the people what they want. Like, you know what I mean? I might have to release. You lot still want to see that video? Yeah, I think that was that last summer or the summer before? I don't even know. I might have to do that stretch video. If you can get enough likes or whatever, I'll do the stretch video. Meditation keeps us grounded. Alright, cool. What I'll do is I'll read us. It does keep us grounded. I'll read one more poem, and then have a little chat. If anyone wants to do a request or whatever, hold on. I don't know how this works, but if anyone wants to have a bit of a chat and share what you're thinking, like, that would be dope. And also, yeah, shout out to Own It. Shout out to Own It for organising this week-long online digital festival. If anyone does want to get copies of my book, plural, it's available via ownit.london, and they are doing a discount thing for their festival, so you can cop these at a lower rate. And if you like making a save as I do, I'll check this out. Right. Okay, I'm gonna read two more poems. Got one, and then we have a chat, and then I'll read the last one, a different one. But yeah, alright, cool. Let me have a little sip here. Alright, so this is from Refuge, and this poem is called Tell Them. And I'll explain the poem after I read it. Tell them. And when they turn the bodies over to count the number of closed eyes, and they tell you 800,000, you say no, that was my uncle. He wore bright coloured shirts and pointy shoes. 2 million, you say no, that was my auntie. Her laughter could sweep you up like the wind to leaves on the ground. 6 million, you say no, that was my 6 million, you say no, that was my mother. Her arms the only place I have ever not known fear. 3 million, you say no, that was my love. We used to dance, oh how we used to dance. Or 147, you say no, that was our hope, our future, the brains of the family. And when they tell you that you come from war, you say no, I come from hands held in prayer before we eat together. When they tell you that you come from conflict, you say no, I come from sweat on skin glistening from shining sun. And when they tell you that you come from genocide, you say no, I come from the first smile of a newborn child with tiny hands. And when they tell you that you come from rape, you say no, and you tell them about every time you have ever loved. Tell them that you are from mother, carrying you on her back until you could walk, until you could run, until you could fly. Tell them that you are from father, holding you up to the night sky, full of stars, and saying, look, child, this is what you are made of. From long summers, full moons, flowing rivers and sand dunes, you tell them that you are an ocean that no cup could ever hold. Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines, man. You tell them that you are an ocean. And I think, like, that poem, Tell Them, you know, for me, it's like coming out of Congo, seeing everything that's been going on in the world, the, you know, constant stories of thousands and, you know, tens of thousands and even millions of people who die on a daily basis. It's like, they're not just numbers, you know, they're people, they're memories, they're feelings and emotions and loved ones. And I think that's something that we have to remember. And I think what's really, really interesting about what's happening in the West, especially here in the UK, is we haven't had that for a while. Like, we haven't had a tragedy on that level in the UK where we've had to be aware of a sense of like collective mourning, where on a daily basis we're reminded of the thousands of people who passed away. And in the UK now, you know, there's over 40,000 people who've died as a result of COVID-19. And the numbers are harrowing. But one thing that I haven't seen as much, although I see it more on social media, is the attempt to remember these people as more than just numbers. And it's a sense of actually trying to humanize people and preserve their memory. And we often just leave this preservation as something that's reserved almost for celebrities. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like when a celebrity passes away, it's not just a number, it's this person and it's that person, etc. But I feel like we should reserve that same kind of, you know, compassion for everyday people, you know, everyone. I mean, obviously it would take a lot to do, but people deserve that dignity that ought to be remembered because, you know, we only have one life. Yeah. Um, all right. All right. Cool. Someone sent a request. Mexi Jam. I'm gonna join. All right. Let me see. I've never done this before, so let me see. All right. Cool. Ah, you declined. What's going on, bro? Okay. All right. No worries. If anyone's got any questions, preach. Shout out Alim Kamara. Shout out Holly. Appreciate you. You lot are amazing. Um, yeah. So how do we preserve our memory? And if anyone's got any, yeah, if anyone's got any questions, thank you for everything you said. Mourning, ritual, resilience, healing, nature, and yeah, I think that's just the things that we have to remember. It's difficult to think about these things on a day-to-day basis, but hopefully it will get us through. And if nothing else, art also really gets us through. Yeah, I'll jump into another poem then, and then yeah, maybe we can. All right, cool. So on the subject of hope, some of you may know this poem. Some of you may not. All right. This poem is to those with wings for feet who keep on running. Please do not run, fly. This poem is one of my absolute favorite poems. And not only is its length, the length of the title, absolutely ridiculous attempt to be contrived as possible, but I think I wrote this at a time when, you know, I was really looking for hope, and yeah, I just kept thinking about how often when we're going through something, we run away from things, and actually we should approach them head on, or we should fly above them, and that's how this poem came out to be. To those with wings for feet who keep on running, please do not run, fly. Most days, I spend my days trying to figure out what the days mean, and I'm stuck. Stuck between caring too much and not caring enough, between holding on too long and letting go too easily, feet stumbling beneath me, trying to follow this narrow path. I look around, and all I see are faces that laugh, grass greener on the other side, eyes wide, brimming smiles and full hearts, music on blast, and a nervous excitement from the accidental touch of two lovers. At the start, I look at myself, and I'm going nowhere fast. Maybe this is just a facade. Shallow masks cover up the fact that we are all hurting inside. that no amount of pride could dry the sea of tears, years of pain, waiting for the clouds to clear, fear, settling like dust. And you know what? Some days I am just tired. Some days I'm barely strong enough to carry the burden of my heavy heart, let alone the weight of the world on my shoulders. Some days I need space on my own. No internet, no mobile phone. And some days I just want to run away from it. But then on some days I hear a voice call in the back of my mind. Each syllable sounds like a little droplet of light falling on deaf eyes that wander through the darkness. It says, why would you want to run when you've got wings for feet? Fly. So this is to all those with wings for feet who keep on running. Please do not run. Fly. Fly like the poet's pen off the page. Fly like it was your 12th birthday and you just made the biggest wish and blew out a candle with a flame the size of the sun and the darkness of the universe. Now you're living. Fly. Like a midnight moonlight city cyclist with headphones on going downhill with no hands. Fly. Like a runner in the park racing against the sunset. No regrets. Like every mistake you've ever made has just been washed away. Fly. Like your new crush has just noticed you looking fly and has walked up to you holding roses and chocolates to ask you out on a date. And they're paying. Fly like you never stopped believing in love, like you weren't the only one. There was a time when everything you imagined was real. Your mind is the most powerful instrument you will ever own. Only second to your heart which you feel, and they are made of one of the same, so fly. Fly like you're not worried about the days, the months and the years of getting older, because each day that you live is the youngest that you will ever be, and we live eternally. In each dream, in each sleep, we keep a piece of ourselves just to give to each other. So this is to all those with wings for feet who keep on running. Please do not run. Fly. Boom. It's one of my favorite poems ever, man. Yeah. So appreciate you guys. Someone asked if I'm working on anything new. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but I am. Yeah, there should be some news soon, hopefully soon anyway. So just look out for it. And I think that what I would want to say is like I appreciate everyone listening and like supporting my work and just trying to survive, you know, like everything that's going on now. Don't feel like you have to be plugged into everything constantly all the time. Find time to give back to yourself, to heal, to do the things that help you survive in whatever way you can. Do you know what I'm saying? And if that means taking some time from social media, taking time from the internet, if that means self-care, even in the most simple form, if that means just deep breathing, if that means reminding yourself of the fact of your life, that you are alive and that you are here and you are present, then do that. My motto is like the world isn't going, you know, and you can step away from it and you'll come back, we'll still be here. Because for 4.2 billion years, it has still been there. And we may not still be there, but the world will be. And so how do we find a way to keep ourselves here? And you have to give back to yourself, you know. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys for listening. I think that's all from me for today in terms of like anything that I really have to say. I don't know if there's any like last questions, but yeah, that was it from me. Appreciate you lot for listening and for reading and for doing what you do. Yeah, and let's if there's one takeaway from anything that I've said today, it's like let's have radical hope. Like let's be hopeful. Save the vid. Save the vid. How do I save the vid? Yo, I don't know how. Okay. Oh damn. Okay, I gotta make sure I save the vid. I think so. Salma says she's late. Oh, shout out to you, Salma. Oh, you're not too late though, but I was just starting to look off. I'm a little late. Will this go up as a post? It can go up as a post. I'm not quite sure how to do that. not even gonna lie. I'll figure it out. But if I flop and I can't, wow, I really sound like someone who is not born of this time. I really should know how to be able to save an Instagram post. Like, what's going on? You know, thought I was cool and down. I'll figure out how to do it. If not, when you exit, put it up as a post. All right, you lot are just trying to save it as Instagram TV. Like, how? What does it save it? Save it to my Instagram TV. All right, cool. I'll figure that. Can I edit this so I can just make this part while old man? Hey, listen, allow me. All I need is Microsoft Word. That's all I literally use when it comes to technology. All right, save it and it'll upload. All right, cool. I'll figure that out. If it doesn't save, then I will do another one where maybe I talk about similar things in a more um, perhaps with greater depth. And actually, maybe that would be something interesting that I could do anyway. Just talk about similar things in greater depth and then look at different examples of historical periods and periods throughout culture and different cultures. The way that people use and conceptualize death as a means to have radical hope, to live more hopeful lives. And I think that's something that we need right now. You know, how do we do another one? Okay, I will do another one. I'll do another one. And it's in caps lock as well, so I think we're serious about that one. So. All right, wicked. I'll save this post. I'll do another one. But yeah, radical hope, radical hope. And yeah, I appreciate you lot. Thank you for tuning in, for checking out my live. Talk about trash men. Okay, before I leave, Salma, we should do one where we talk about, you know, toxic masculinity, trash men, patriarchy, whatever. Well, those of you who may not know, Salma is an incredible intellect of our times who's very much educating a lot of men about the ways in which they are wrongfully invested in the patriarchy. So that's a conversation that we also definitely need to have. Miranda, I'm happy to do the edits for you. Okay, I don't know how. Let's make it happen. DM me. Let's make it happen. Reading your book. Shout out to you, McNaughton Inc. Appreciate that. So yeah, Samba, I'll hit you up. Let's do it. Let's do a live sometime and talk about trash men and patriarchy and all that. But yeah, you lot, thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves. Stay hopeful, radically hopeful. Yeah, and we'll see you on the other side. Much love to you and yours. All right. Peace.